Hello, my name is Roseanne Perez, and this is my self-identification and culture presentation. First, I wanted to explain what self-identification is. It's the identification of oneself with another person. Before learning other cultures, it is important for students to first learn their own. Only then can they begin to learn the values of culture other than their own. Every aspect of my culture is important to me. That is the foundation of who I am today. Although I was born and raised in Chicago, the Puerto Rican traditions and beliefs have been with us for many generations. For example, my parents felt very strong that they wanted to make sure that we did not forget where we came from. So we were not allowed to speak English in the house. We could only speak Spanish, and we would get punished. We would have repercussions if we spoke any English. And it just goes back to how we grew up. They wanted to make sure that we didn't forget everything that our family went through and our Puerto Rican heritage. There are hundreds of traditions that define the island of Puerto Rico. Puerto Rican parents highly value education and encourage their children to succeed academically. Even though I love my country and accept the free association with the United States, we also like to emphasize our loyalty to our culture, folklore, hospitality, and way of life. If we begin with our own perspectives and what shapes them, we then have a basis for comparing differences and similarities between our perspectives and those of our students. The values, heritage, and beliefs that were instilled in me still resonate to my 4 children and also to every student that I have in my classroom. An important first step at the beginning of the year is development of guidelines for peer involvement. Because I have a lab with 30 computers, the students can tend to isolate themselves from their environment when they're designing. That's why it is important for me to help them care and actively collaborate with their peers. Not only in my classroom, but this sets the foundation for them to learn how to embrace and respect others throughout life. I start the year with classroom norms. Classroom norms set the stage in the type of community we will share throughout the year. It sets an open and respectful environment in which my students can interchange ideas and maximize the overall class participation. Some of the topics that are included in these ground rules include respecting others when they are talking. Do not be afraid to ask questions as long as you are not offending a peer. Participate to the best of your ability. In other words, community growth depends on the inclusion of every individual voice. And be conscious of body language and nonverbal responses. They can be as disrespectful as words. Strategies that will assist in the continuation of these norms are posting the ground rules in a visible location. If a student forgets or needs to be addressed, I simply point to the norms we agreed upon at the beginning of the year. Setting a nature of loyalty to these norms throughout the year gives students ownership of these responsibilities. I make sure to model and also announce when I see a great example of following the rules and vice versa, if I feel they have violated them as well. So many awesome discussions have risen from these norms, and sometimes students just don't know how others were raised or what would offend another culture. I also meet one-on-one with students from diverse backgrounds to ensure that they are comfortable and or have any questions about the learning environment. As we try to accommodate students' culture and learning differences, it is most important to deeply value each person's individuality. We also create a classroom calendar with special events/holidays and share those special dates as a class. Throughout the year, I continue to embrace our differences by incorporating multiculturalism lessons that involve designing posters, book covers, and various visual activities. The overall goal, as described in the Critical Multicultural Pavilion website, is not to agree, but to gain a deeper understanding. This is a great starting point for the process to respect diversity, equity, and social justice in my classroom. My cultural identification has impacted my learning in a rewarding way. Because of my upbringing and openness to share this with my students, they can see that and are able to relate and see that my teacher understands, or this classroom understands where I'm coming from. Supporting student engagement in learning can be incorporated by 3 principles of learning cultures. Number 1, every child can reach high learning standards when the classroom culture provides experiences and resources that support success, and when each child is held accountable to classroom social norms that secure the behaviors of cooperation, consideration, and effort. Number 2, children are most successful when their learning is self-initiated, when they hold responsibility for learning, and when the learning process allows them to pursue personal interests. And number 3, social interactions are fundamental to learning, and higher order thinking is best supported when students have opportunities to work cooperatively with others to solve problems and achieve collective goals. When the formats are followed consistently and with fidelity, students of all backgrounds and levels can achieve academic success. Learning cultures allow teachers of every grade level and subject area to create classroom cultures characteristics by student independence, motivation, high achievement, cooperation, and distributed leadership. Within the safety of a more supportive environment, teachers can more productively examine our cultural values, beliefs, and assumptions. We can share our findings with each other and gain wisdom about the power of cultural diversity. Schools should create the environment that fosters teacher development for teachers to be able to replicate multicultural awareness with their students. They can do this by offering professional development. Building a positive school culture is very important at Island Coast High School, the school in which I work at. Establishing classroom norms and agreements, asking essential questions are very, very important and are emphasized during the beginning of the school year. We use norms to build a class consensus of appropriate behavior, practice team building activities, and also promote student responsibility. Creating a positive school culture is like building a house. You need a strong foundation, building blocks, time, and material. Gator Pride is used school-wide at my school in order to support cultural relevant learning. Administrators and teachers must find ways to embed the process of developing cultural competence into already existing school routines. At my school, classroom agreements are very important and implemented at the beginning of the year. Pro Gator is what we use in every classroom. Prepared, respectful, on time, Gator Pride, attentive, trustworthy, organized, responsible. The first day of school, every teacher is responsible of coming up with classroom agreements with their students. And they break up into teams, and every team member displays how can we be prepared, how can we be respectful, how can we be on time. But most importantly, the most important one in my classroom is respectful. This is where cultural diversity comes into play. Teachers need to become introspective ethnographers in our own classrooms to decipher the cultural meanings that we and our students bring to the group. Once teachers understand our assumptions and beliefs and can appreciate and accept the unique cultural contributions of our students, we can use this knowledge to mediate effectively between the children's culture and the other cultures represented in the school. My personal view of leadership in a culture of learning is to continue to increase my knowledge in order to influence the environment. Serving as a role model to others and the commitment to continue in assisting students build their own understanding and also strengthen their character. Students need to feel that they are valued as an individual. One of St. Leo University's core values in personal development, which states, development of every person's mind, spirit, and body for a balanced life, all members of the St. Leo University community must demonstrate their commitment to personal development to help strengthen the character of our community. As a future administrator, it will be my responsibility to help educators guide students into becoming productive, giving, and understanding participants of society. As my principal said, the inclusion of diversity and individuality must be appreciated and accepted in every classroom and school-wide environment. I hope you enjoyed my presentation.